All right, welcome to the stream. It is time for a new Great Ace Attorney chapter. We're starting the second game. I'm trying to clean up some stuff here. We got a bit of a late start because I am still having some buffering issues with YouTube, and some of it seems to be tied to the Great Ace Attorney itself. So when I closed it, all of a sudden the stream started going better. I'm going to try running it again, and I'm just going to watch the stream and see how bad it gets. And now the game is running. Hopefully things work well. I know during the second last stream that we did for the first game, things got a little choppy. I've shut down everything I can. For whatever reason, it just seems to be the game, which is weird because this is done an online game. So I don't know what the problem is, but we're just going to roll with it. We're going to see what happens. I got good news before we start, and I got bad news. The bad news is I'm all out of sparkling water. I don't have any sparkling water left. I need to make a run to get some, but right now I am working off half a protein shake and a cold coffee from this morning. That's my hydration, but it should get me through. We'll see. We should be fine. The good news is, and we'll see if this is good news, I am running the modded version of Great Ace Attorney Chronicles now, like I was saying before. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect whether I get achievements or not. If it does, that's going to suck, but I'll just roll with it and deal with it for the sake of the stream. But the modded version is going to change a bunch of names. So now the names are going to be correct. It's going to be back to being Sherlock Holmes instead of Herlock Sholmes. It's going to be back to being Holmesy instead of Hurley. Like Holmes is going to puke any second. Wilson is now Watson. And there's also a bunch of other names that change too. Some of which are unique to this game and I don't even know who they are. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But in the meantime, we will go ahead and we will get started. Let's fire this sucker up. It is time. And do I continue? I'm not sure if I continue. No, I don't want to continue because that just takes me back to the first game. Alright, let's crank this down a little bit. The volume's a little hot, but we should be okay here. The stream on YouTube is way behind, so we'll have to see how well things turn out. So far, things seem to be not choppy, which is excellent. But I guess I'll just have to do this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is how we start. Okay, new game time. Correct names. More the blind run. I know this first trial a little bit, but from then and on, it is blind, and I'm really looking forward to that. We should get through this first trial this week. I'm imagining it's only 2 parts. But we shall see. Here we go. Have a little sip. So, Susato is back in Japan. Presumably.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital.
She's Japanese. She just visited England. She sounds Scottish to me.
You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer.
Doesn't she? What is that accent?
I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
Why am I in film grain?
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned.
Is this her mom? Is this Kazuma, maybe?
And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
So that was a flashback from who knows when. Oh knows! What's going on? It's Giselle! It's her again.
Today to ask something of you.
Are we going to get answers?
Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court for the only time in my life
Oh, this isn't a flashback. Interesting.
as a lawyer.
This is the day before the trial. Interesting. Hey, Giselle. How you doing? Oh, I'll take that as, not good.
I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
It is Kazuma's grave. Huh, interesting. Hey, Suzuto. I think the first defendant was a name that got changed as well. Episode 1, The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. And yeah, this is an interesting way of doing the tutorial because we're playing as Suzuto, which is pretty frickin' cool. But wait, you say, didn't they say no women allowed in Japanese court? Well, yeah, about that. Man, I don't get to do Ryunosuke's voice for a while, huh? Alright. Here I am, again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature in Japan. 9 months. I'm unsure about the time frames here, but anyway. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. The stream seems smooth. Everything seems to be like... I mean, it could be smoother, but it could be choppier, too. Oh, you again. Boy, we haven't seen you in a few yonks, have we? We'll just go with the stereotypical deep voice. Hey, Dad, what's up? Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Actually, that's even more like the Cosmo voice. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. I learned how to be anxious from Ryunosuke. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous I feel utterly nauseated. It's easier being a sidekick. I almost wish I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumi University. A man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. He's our MS guy for this game. And of course, my brilliant father. Okay, I'm guessing this is the defendant. Oh man, I'm going to have to come up with another female voice, and it is going to have to be, I believe, really, really timid. Maybe? I think? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that's what she's like. We'll see. We'll just go as high pitched as possible and hope it's it's not cringe. Excuse me. Yeah, my voice can crack a bit too on purpose. That works. Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Yeah, we'll go with that. She looks like a youngster. We'll pretend her voice is cracking or something. Oh, yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, the whole thing. Oh, man, all the women in Japan are dangerous as shit. Don't hit me. Don't throw me across the room. We're all karate masters. Hiyori Murasame. So yeah, I think her name is different in the official version, but I am running the DLL now. I am running the mod, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. Okay, so she's not that young, because Suzuto is like 16 or 17. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling all right? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. It's just that... You look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Awkward. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. Why are you hitting on your best friend? Yeah, and he's loving it. Wah-ha-ha. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what What do you mean, Professor Mikotoba? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? Hey, Harry, what's up? What? Is that you, Susanoo? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Hiyori. It's just that... What are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Yeah, you wouldn't believe the set bonuses I get from this. +10 to charisma and +5 to deception. Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yumi University. A male student. Is that a comment on my chest? I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see, it was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. My defense? Is this another no one else would take your case, so I have to do it? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. We're not very progressive in 1890 or whenever the hell this happened. Fuck the system, I do what I please. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. I love when she just puts her hands together and leans into the camera. It's just such a cute little animation. Oh, Suzuto, you go to such lengths for me. Of course, you're my Kazuma. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. I'm Smoogie, I'm the ultimate cosplayer. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Stop hitting on me, please. Hiyori? Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just... You really do look so dashing. He's got a thing for dude in suits. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Still loving this. This is freaking hilarious. You should be pleased. That means you look convincing as a man. Like, he just doesn't even give a shit. Like, check out how awesome my daughter is. She's going into court and there's nothing you fuckers can do about it. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helps to bolster my confidence today. This is hilarious. I love this case. I mean, I love this part of the game. The case itself is also pretty good, if I remember correctly. But this framing and this way of doing the tutorial, because now it's Suzuto in the hot seat, is her first time. Very interesting, very innovative, very creative. I like it. Hiyori, you've managed to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped, and how you're trembling ever so slightly. You too, Suzuto. You do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. I mean, it was Giselle and she deserved it, but still. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a Kazuma. That'd be so much to be Susanoo. We're not the Old Bailey anymore. Defendant, counsel. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Hiyori. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Not naughty like in England. Oh. Stand aside! Okay, maybe not so timid. I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. I don't want to be guilty! Well, Suzuto, you certainly surprised your father, going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. Hey, I know my stuff. There is simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But, Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Hayori doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case, like every other case in this frickin' game. I didn't want to burden her with that. It was so obvious that Psy'Min guessed it like 5 minutes ago, but you know. And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case. Is it really because of who the victim was? Yeah, nobody wants to touch this. Nobody wants their hands on that hot political stuff. We should be making a move now, too. Like, toward the door. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. I am Suzuto Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain, but 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. Dude, where'd my film grain go? How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder? Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck. Naruhodo. Good times. 13th August, that's not that long ago. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 1. Haha, check me out. The court is now in session to hear the trial of Hayori Murasame. I think his voice was just my voice. Oh, you. Great. I get to destroy my throat all week again. I forgot. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellence. God, I'm so pathetic as usual. Haha, Suzuto. Is that her? Yeah, that is her hair color. She didn't dye it. She just restyled it. Defense counsel, are you ready? Did you not hear me say I was up since 4 a.m.? Of course I'm ready. Yes, Your Excellence, we are ready. Oh, ready! Yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryutaro Naruhodo, is that correct? Ryutaro. Sorry? Ryutaro, oh yes, that's me, right, my name, that's what you said, isn't it? Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. My name is Bob Smith. Wait, what? So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel. Yes, that's right. That's me. Is this foreshadowing? Because Naruhodo Ryunosuke is supposed to be Phoenix Wright's ancestor. And I just realized, well, if he's the father, or the great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, whatever, like, who's going to be the mother? Is this foreshadowing? Because now she's got his last name. I mean, that's how the names work in Japan, right? Naruhodo would be the surname. Anyway. Anyway, hey, look how nervous she is, just like Ryunosuke. Oh yeah, that's right, that's my name. Yes, I am that name you said. He who is vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. I'm just in now. It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. Suzuto's over there just you know, curling a dumbbell or something. Look how manly I am. I should give her a manly voice. I should give her the Dr. Claw voice. And those wild, wild eyes aren't doing any favors either. Just relax and listen. God, take some medication or something. Jeez. Naruhodo? Oh, yeah. A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. Nice hair, asshole. What the name Naruhodo would that perchance be? You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. That is, His cousin! Yeah, that's me. I'm his cousin. It would be funny if her voice went all over the place because she keeps slipping between her normal voice and something she's trying to be manlier. That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them, yes. What he said.
What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused has had to call on a country boy.
How dare you? Oh. Well, that didn't take long, did it? Suzuto is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of you Tokyo attorneys, especially compared to you, Ouchie. I won't have you making fun of her.
Sure. I'm sorry. Is there a non-male? In this, the courtroom is a sausage fest and always will be. What are you talking about?
Oh, her. Please be careful, Hiyori.
What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo goes through. Again, I kind of like that. Like, you would expect Suzuto to be super competent and knowledgeable, but again, now she's the one in the hot seat, and all of a sudden it's completely different, and I like how the game acknowledges that. This is cool character development for her. I really like her. If I haven't already said that enough already. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flint. So what? So want to flit. Can't stop wanting to flit. The case to be heard in this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. I mean, it was one thing when the British person was murdering the Japanese person, but now the British person has been murdered, and my God, the international diploma yeah, I don't even want to get into it.
Just like the trial 9 months ago, and yet for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for a tutorial, of course, why not? To determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now.
Why is the film grain back?
This same judge tested him as well.
Yes, the other tutorial.
And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. But I need to screw it up for the sake of an achievement. I'm also curious if I get the achievements. Again, I'm running a mod here, so I'm not sure if that interferes. So, counsel, do you consent to answer some simple questions? Oh, the cape's off. All right. It's time to prove myself. There it is. She's got the cute little animations that he had. Yes, Your Excellence, but please do make them simple. Your book has literally everything in it. All knowledge of man. Why are you worried? Because you're going to pick the wrong answers on purpose. Okay, you got me there. Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim. Whew, that's simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. Whoops, I forgot it. And I wasn't even trying. What's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo goes through. Like it or not, minds are wont to blank. The thoughts have just flit away. My cortisol levels are through the roof. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be among the key information about this case in the court record. That's right. Just use E to open the court record. It's not there yet. Then you need to flip to the people section with E. I want to double check and see if this is where I need to hit the wrong answers or if it's the next one. Just to be safe. It is this one, okay. Just checking. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with E. That's where the information I need will be. Hey, that rhymed. I'm a poet and I don't know it. What is the name of the victim in this case? Well, let's just go down the list, shall we? I don't see my life meter, so you're not going to ding me. The victim in this case is... Yes! Prosecutor Tatsuchi Ouchi.
Why the sudden triumphant cry of yes? Are you threatening to kill me?
Look at how worried he is.
He seems angry.
And you're surprised? Did you consult the court record? You must look through it carefully.
Oh yes, I did, of course. I looked at everyone on file,
and I chose the person whose features appear to be the most deathly. Okay, well, I mean, you can't fault that logic.
Which one looks the most dead? This one.
I must say, this most unusual methodology of yours leaves me almost speechless.
Oh, just wait until I pick next.
Just wait till you see who the next one I pick is. It occurs to me with renewed certainty that reading the information carefully is vitally important. I strongly recommend it.
Don't worry, I'll get the next one right.
Your Excellency, please allow me to amend my answer. Very well, I will excuse this incorrect response given your wide-eyed state of panic. What is the name of the victim in this case?
It's Yujin Mikitoba.
Wait, what?
The victim in this case is none other than Professor Yujin Mikitoba.
What? Well, to be written off by one's own child. You're out of the will.
Father, you seem suddenly so much older and wearier than you were mere moments ago.
Because of you, clearly. The judge is asking for the victim's name, the person who was killed in this case. Look through the information in the court record again. Carefully. Stop being a dumbass. Before you kill me, for mercy's sake.
Oh dear, I simply can't ignore that disapproving look.
I got the achievement. Okay. So, yeah. For future reference, anyone who cares, running the mod that changes the names does not change that you get the achievements. Nifty.
Your Excellence, please allow me to amend my answer. Let me try this again. Third time's the charm.
Very well, I will ignore this incorrect statement.
Let me pick Tatsuichi Ouchi again. No. Takatsuchi. There we go. Takatsuchi Ouchi.
No.
Yes! Yes, I got it right this time. Also, can I go to the bathroom? The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. That bitch. I mean...
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you would be well aware of the significance of that name.
Yes, she's a bitch.
So let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. Wait, no, I don't. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. Behind the woman student's persona was the face of...
Queen Victoria.
A killer.
Yes.
Why is she even still here? Didn't she get shipped to Shanghai?
Also, how can I slam the desk heavier than Naruhodo does? I weigh like 2/3 what he does. 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yumi University was killed. I mean, he hits the desk like a wet fish. And the culprit was Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. Which we still don't have all the answers for, but I'm really looking forward to what they're going to be. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Watson. Look at that glorious, correct name. Excellent. I love it. I love it like candy. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Watson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate. Who is talking? I'm going to assume it's the judge. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. That voice was close enough. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He's been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. I'm Emma Sky's ancestor. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial Yumi University was arrested on suspicion of murder. Boy, this is a damning photo. This is what they ran in the paper. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. Is there a DLL that puts the S back in defense? Because that just keeps bothering me. And exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Watson's life, Watson, hell yeah. That just makes me so happy. She gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead.
Again, what happened to that? Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Also, can we talk about the fact that I'm just literally wearing a pom-pom? Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. Why not just next boat? All that remained for our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship, which we clearly screwed up.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Sounds like it got sorted. I don't see the problem.
Only the day before.
That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant.
Watch me get my first game over. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchie.
As is your wish, Your Excellency.
Here we go.
The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight.
It's like 2 days ago. Oh, look at this pretty place.
On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea, where I regularly go to peep. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes.
God, that hat.
The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen.
Posterior abdomen. So her back.
It pierced the woman's lung. Posterior abdomen is more fun to say. An injury which proved fatal. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, which I knew because I was peeping, and the accused, Hayori Murasame. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. An actual motive this time, novel I know. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
What was that about a motive? Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. What was that about peeping? As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... I'm guessing a powerful motive is the main thing we want to ask about. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Okay, well, let's ask what it is before we go firing off.
Tut tut tut. Is the yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand?
I beg your pardon.
No matter. Let us put this to the accused, shall we? Murasame, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Yumi University, I believe.
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikitoba at his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Oh no, anyway. Prior to your work with Professor Mikitoba, whose research were you assisting then?
I was studying under John H. Watson. Dr. Watson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? No, the VTuber.
The accused has a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Watson. Is that not true?
Yes, Dr. Watson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had toward the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she did. A powerful hatred. That bitch. Hillary, could you reel that in, please? Thank you. Ixnay on the B-nay.
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. I am literally speaking out of my nose right now, and it feels really weird.
Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Hiyori's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details, and something we can use to bolster our defense. Do I have something else I can ask about? Did I ask the wrong thing? As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up... Oh, here we go. Being alone together? Do I have to pick all three of these? Let's go with being alone together. Murasame. Let me ask you and not Ouchie this time, because that's clearly a mistake. What is it, Souza? Okay, asking you is a mistake too, sorry. Naruhodo, yes! I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryutaro Suzato. Boy, that would make things a lot easier. Also, I love the look on her face. This is the Suzato poking through. That would have made things easier, wouldn't it have? Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. I know what you're thinking. You get your mind out of the gutter. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. We get to see Hosunaga again? I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. In hindsight, this seems like a bad idea.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No.
Because as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Mumble, mumble, mumble. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel.
Yeah.
The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying. But Father's right. We need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about... Okay, I do just have to ask all three. There's no right answer. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
Well, at least it's better than the racism we had last game. I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot. No, now it's not racism. Now it's just sexism.
Nah, my apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. It's a spot where one bathes. Difficult concept, I know. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins. No, that's not what I know what a bathing spot is, you dipshit. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? Oh. For old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. We're too polite. We're kind of spineless. We're like, the pre-Canadians. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. We will seriously reassess that assumption in the future.
But in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was that young student girl over there who did it, not me. I'm not a murderer. I'm just a perv.
No one has proven that yet. I mean, we've proven you're a perv, but, I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. The player has chosen all three options, and so we're going to progress. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. I'm sorry, what? Obviously, over that period, she and Hiyori would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it were only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Hiyori for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Hiyori. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
Ba-boom! It occurs to me I haven't checked the audio levels yet. Sounds fine. Too late to change it. We're moving on. Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image.
As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anywhere else could have hidden. Nowhere in the hut that anyone else could have hidden.
The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. Yay. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. And take a quick gander at that. I honestly don't know what this magnifying glass is good for other than just fitting the aesthetic of the game. I don't think it reveals anything. Maybe it'll reveal something later. But she's got a pen. She's been stabbed. Where was she when she was stabbed? Because if she was sitting on that seat, there's a gap there. Someone could have just snuck a knife in and just been like, yoink, dead. Because there's literally a gap there. As I understand it, then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time.
Yes, I repeated this many times.
This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. Oh my god, so much evidence, you wouldn't believe it. Why are you even here, bumpkin? We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime, and damning evidence. Multiple witnesses despite them only being 2 of them there.
Witnesses? But who? I'd like to know as well.
One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective.
So Hosunaga.
I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Oh, she looked kind of mad there. Very well then, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
I, Takatsuchi Ouchi, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. That trial 9 months ago here in this very courtroom, look what you did to my hair. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me.
That's because you suck. I don't really see the improvement. Like, you look like death.
What? What? Yes? What was my voice again? This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten, not over the entire franchise series of this game.
You become conceited with age, counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. And I'm just going to attack you with my sword in the middle of a courtroom just because I can.
God, I'm ugly. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, counsel?
Silence! I don't understand that. Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head.
Oh, is that where that hair came from?
Observe the Ouchi growth.
I was going to say, if he was cut where he was cut, I thought he was bald there, but oh no, he's proud of his little... I don't even know what to call that.
You see? This seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown?
Don't worry, we'll have taken care of that by the end of the tutorial too. I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where's the hope exactly? Show me the hope.
I said silence.
It's so tiny. Do you need some tweezers?
Today I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head.
Please stop talking about seeds.
You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this case. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. I don't agree. Yeah, exactly. A haircut is hardly comparable to Hiyori's life. Sup, Hosunaga. God, you look ridiculous. And you're back. Why is Saseki-san here? I mean, I knew Saseki-san was gonna be here. There's still some questions surrounding him from the last game, too. But I have to do his overblown voice. His is the one voice that is just... It's like 5 different voices fluctuating between each other and just going nuts over dramatically.
Witnesses, please state your name and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosunaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so that I can go undetected. I don't know. I kind of detected you. And I am, well, the next big thing in books. A renowned author throughout the capital. In fact, yes, here comes the alliteration. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success by Saseki Natsume. So now we got alliterative sentences. You just keep writing, buddy. Keep taking them notes. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't? It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please, relax. Call me Saseki, even. Yes. What on earth is Saseki doing here? Tread carefully, Suzuto. That author fella knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? Yes, but he's stupid. If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Technically, everybody has seen me here before. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Saseki won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. I mean, he's got the same animations, but there's this guy running around behind him. Not sure what that's about. And as for Inspector Hosunaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Yeah, I mean, amazing is a word for it. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. I suppose it's this... oh, yeah. I suppose it's this disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. This is my turtle disguise, can you tell? It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. I'm curious to see this guy in action more after this case, too. We don't know a whole lot about him. He hasn't been around much for what you could probably consider to be one of the main detectives, the other one being Gregson, of course. Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Bureau police detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Suseki? Suseki? Not Soseki? Suseki? Soseki? What's that you doing there? Did the DLL change that? Was it Suseki before it? I just didn't notice. Not Soseki. Alright. Well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yumi University's Grand Hall, the Grand Lecture Hall, no less, at Yumi University. After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. Actually, he is wearing different clothes, isn't he? I just noticed that now. He's wearing more like a house coat. With my father... with Professor Mikitoba, I mean. With this person that I've never met before. No, really, what's with the pom-pom? Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about two former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. Just say paparazzi. Also, I'm totally not convinced that you didn't actually hire him to do that. I'm just saying. That's Suseki for you. This conversation's in 3 minutes. I'm already exhausted. As you can see, the conversation was written up in the newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies. Everyone have a copy. Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. It just lands in the court record. Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. Little did they know it was this detective, or they might have made a better request.
That detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosunaga.
Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. This is like the second of 3 cases you've been in where you've been charged with protecting someone and failed miserably. Why the hell are you still on payroll? I almost miss Gumshoe. Jesus Christ, how incompetent do you have to be to make me say that?
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. That's right, his voice was more raspy, actually. But fortunately, I'm at peak physical condition at the moment. Sorry, just getting off my 14th case of COVID, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. I don't know, I think we found a flaw. Namely the dead chick. Oh my, Inspector, you do have something on your face now. Peak physical condition. Oh, how unsightly. I do apologize. My nickname should be Hurley. Does that mean that you... Cough myself. Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father? No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. God, I hate the beach. Sand gets everywhere in this outfit. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant, Haori was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. But only I had. I've never seen that awful side. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. That's literally just exercising now, dude. You're not even JoJoing. You're just doing yoga. Very well. I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will now give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the court. I was about to say accurate, but then I realized what court I was in, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. Of course, Your Excellency. Oh my God, I sound like I smoke 12 packs a day. I miss my cat. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret I am. That alliteration was so good, I just had to relive it. The witness scene. Can't wait for this BS. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes. That young girl was astride the Englishwoman. Ooh, kinky. Dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. I haven't even looked at the autopsy report yet, and I can almost guarantee it's going to say they were stabbed once. Every single time someone says they were stabbed multiple times, they weren't. It's just a rule. Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. Oh, yeah? Let's see about that shit. Time of death, blah, blah, blah. Single deep stab wound. God, I called it or what? Come on, guys. I love you, but you need some new gimmicks here. The very moment of this heinous crime. What?
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah, yes, that was it. Damning evidence. I mean, darning evidence. I have to watch my language.
What do you have there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Yes, fountain pens are all the latest rage. We import them from England.
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, which I kind of sound like I'm in right now, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What?
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me. There's a pen in her hand. It's one of those pen things. Modern Phoenix Wright. What is a video camera? Era Phoenix Wright. What is a pen? That's right. The fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Ah. The owner's initials have been engraved into this ebonite barrel. Ebonite. R.M. Oh. Okay, is this where the DLL is going to kind of F me? Hang on a second. I want to just jump over here and check what the original name was, because I think it lists them. Yes, so her name used to be Ray Membami. Ray Membami. So, obviously RM would make more sense there. But of course, the original translation was Haori Murasame. So we're just going to pretend that that's an HM. Shall we? The initials of the defendant. Oh, I can think of a couple ways that's going to screw me, actually. Alright, well, I knew this was going to happen with the DLL, but I want the proper names, so we're just going to roll with it. Suspend disbelief, everyone. Everyone's got two names now. Just roll with it. The fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence, though it's got the wrong initials on it.
So, Have I omitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence.
That's a line Von Karma once used, wasn't it?
There's a bright blue sky outside the courtroom today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
More like perfect weather to kick you in the balls. I don't understand. The prosecution ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. My God, he's so impressive.
No, I was just as arrogant. I sucked just as much.
Counselor for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Oh yeah, that thing. I almost forgot. Naruhodo. Who's that again? Oh, wait, right. Naruhodo, that's my name. Look at her drag. Oh, my God. Give this woman an Oscar. That means, oh, yes, me. Is there another Naruhodo in my court? There isn't even one Naruhodo in your courtroom, buddy. Actually, yeah. Exactly. See, this is why I like Suzu so. She's awesome. Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Ah, Naruhodo. Cousin Ryutaro, pull yourself together, please. All right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. I've played this game so many times. Now I get to just do it in person. Now I'm in the VR version. Find inconsistencies in the witness's testimony to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. In fact, we already know what it is. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. You go, girl. The witness scene. I guess we can review this. I mean, do I need to press this? We already know what the answer is. I may press it for just kicks and giggles, but yeah. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, still hot, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. I wasn't looking at the astride part, I just noticed the blood, because I'm a detective. Totally say so. It proves to me that she stabbed the victim multiple times. Oh no. I just have so many thoughts whirling around in my head, mostly about that astride bit. Trying not to picture. It's all I can do to stand here wide-eyed and mute. Goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to stop thinking about that? I mean, how am I supposed to find an inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? Do we get pics? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times, for various reasons. A misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion even. Ah, a delusion. So they just imagine that scene. What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Can I touch your pom-pom? Spoken like a true judicial assistant. No. During witness testimony, you can use E to pick a piece of evidence to present for consideration. Or you can just do what Psy'Min does and use the mouse, because he's a freak. So you can need to listen carefully to each statement and compare what's said to the details in the court record. If you find some conflicting information, that may be the inconsistency you're looking for. Yes, it's all about inconsistencies. It's all about nitpicking. Once you've identified a witness's statement that appears to conflict with a piece of information, I mean, this is technically just a tutorial, so you really don't need to listen to what I'm talking about, because you've already done this like 50 times. Yes, that's true. Shut up, Father. I hope I'm up to the task of the tutorial. Don't forget other things that are in the tutorial. Yes, shut up, Father. She's just giving him this look. I'd like to do my job now. Could you be quiet? I need to listen to the testimony again from the start. Mostly because Psy'Min went through the whole thing. Do I want to press? I mean, I obviously have an obvious present option. This is the tutorial. It's just going to be banalities. Let's just jump right to it. What? No, let's not. Okay. All right. Goodness, my dear. I just finished doing the tutorial that you already know all this stuff about. Why are we doing this again? I'm sorry, I misclicked too many times. Can we just move that? No, I'm going to repeat everything I said so that you learn, young lady. Okay, fine. Jeez. Yes, I know, Father. I know, Father. I know, Father. I know, Father. Yes, Father. Thank you, Father. Zip, zip, zip. Alright, I'll let you talk. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. Well, no, she didn't. Objection! Hey, that's actually as fun as it looks. With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand those internet memes. Every time Kazuma and Naruhodo have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed.
What's the meaning of that menacing pose, Counsel? Why aren't you JoJoing?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. What? Who? What? Where? Why? How? I called that how. I said it before he said it. Not you, Sosuke. This query is directed at Inspector Hosunaga. Huh? What? Who's Inspector Hosunaga? I'm just a turtle. And your statement just now. Also, turtles don't cough. You said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said, when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What? Sure can, I said so. Get to the point, please, Counsel. Ah, there's my book. Oh, trusty book, you have all my answers. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. One ping. One ping only. Ah. You can't cough your way out of this. In other words, Inspector Hosunaga's testimony is clearly flawed. Oh man, it was like 90% of the way through the case before Naruhodo got to do his 360 no-scope. My god, I'm awesome. And Susuke. What? Me? Why me? Why are you putting me? You claim to have seen Murasame in the throes of stabbing the victim? Well, I mean, yes I did. Wildly! But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes? And? It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred. True. Then what exactly is your contention, Counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? What? I just thought I only had to find contradictions. Yes, Your Excellency, there's only one logical conclusion. What Susuke in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. Isn't that a bad idea? I thought the whole point is you leave it there to keep the victim from bleeding out just to be safe. I mean, it's not good that it's there, but, you know, if they're dead anyway, then F it. That can't be. That is a house coat. What the hell's wrong with you? Did you just get out of bed? Oh, you're wearing a house coat too. I forgot. This is Japan. Oh yeah, that's probably it. He was probably wearing English clothes in England and Japanese clothes in Japan. That makes sense. Excellent work, Susato. Now can I touch your pom-pom? You exploded at them with that objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically. No.
Kiss. Well. This takes me back. Yes, I seem to recall your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago.
Yeah, and he won, bitch.
A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. Still won.
You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair.
Oh, how dare you! Slander! My head is quite accurately dressed. You know that triggers me. Stop it. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference.
It kind of does. What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she withdrew the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, tough luck, Hiyori.
All you successfully shown with your little display
Look at that eyebrow go.
is that the mustached author is prone to moments of extravagance, as if we didn't already know that.
It's true. I did know that. Crap. Even though he's not the one I actually objected to. I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant were seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she were withdrawing the blade...
Then we are back where we started.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy.
I'm not a boy. Wait, I mean...
If the student girl isn't as innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good.
Why did Hiyori pull out the knife? Ah, yes. Going for the jugular. What does Father mean by that? Let the counsel hear your answer then. Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know. But I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could... Well, one of these is obviously most in our best interests. According to the post-mortem report, which for some reason is in my book, the victim's death was not instant.
That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, Murasame was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled the blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life.
Come again?
Sorry. Yeah, even I'm not buying that.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here?
Your Excellency, if I may...
Speak, witness, as best you can.
I would like another opportunity to testify in respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the young yokel defense counsel. I mean...
Slipshod?
An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
So was I right? It's just, does it make sense to pull the blade out? Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion. Saseki, you just chill.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. As I peek my mic every time I cough in it. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding.
See, that's what I thought. Okay, I'm glad they're pursuing this.
That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense, cough, Hiyori, cough. No, I mean actual cough. Ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Watson, not Wilson, Watson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor.
Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily?
Yes. Think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound. that presents excessive blood. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed.
Oh, I see. That's very unfortunate. Why did you say that?
Yeah, this is why yokels should stay on the farm. Go back to wherever Teru's from. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Isn't that in your book? What the hell? Is that the one thing that isn't in that book? Anyone that's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows that.
What the hell do you think I get up to? Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Haori would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Haori have done it? I don't know, she's right there, ask her. Could she have pulled out that knife in full knowledge that it would be fatal for Miss Brett? I don't know. Again, she's right there. Haori never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. In the 5 seconds we had before this case, it seems almost impossible to believe, but could my friend actually have... Oh, now we're having Suzudo's moments of doubt. Suzudo. Don't say that name, please. That's not the name in the text box. Pull yourself together. We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards. Come on, we're not even like halfway through the first part of the trial. Give me a break. I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end, just like we told Gina. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Haori, are you sure you didn't do it? I mean, I'd understand.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding.
I actually don't know what the answer to this is. Let's see. Do I get to examine? Nope. I can examine this. This is all I get? Interesting. Yeah, that's Soseki, all right. Nothing particularly obvious there. Jezebel, female, British, 11, blah, blah, blah. None of that should be in dispute. From behind, piercing a lung. Piercing a lung? Would that have mattered? I know the meiosis will come in later, but that's not relevant now. Right now I got nothing, including an attorney's badge. I don't get to throw that at people. Alright, let's review and then press, because this one's going to require some extra information.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago. Dr. Watson, not Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Haori knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Again, right here. Suzudo, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. The fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Oh, of course. But I've been through the court record dozens of times already. We reviewed it before the cross-examination. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Ah! I realize this is your first time playing in the tutorial here, so if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence in the court record. It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. Shut up, Father. Come to think of it, Kazuma and Naruhodo were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. You should have seen us playing on that omnibus. I mean, it was like a jungle gym. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with space. What's a space bar? Wait a minute. Ah, by the look in your eyes, I see it's coming back to you. Go through the court record again and have a thorough look at everything. You may just find a clue. Yes, I'll do it straight away. I'd rather press first. I mean, let's take a look here. Do I get to examine? I don't get to actually change that, so that's useless. What about this? I don't get to point out things. I just get to magnify, so that's also useless. Wait, what? Why does it look like this now? I double-clicked it before and it just showed this, a close-up of that. Well, let's look at the back page, because that's where all the answers always seem to be. This is the newspaper from Suzuki. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive deadly poison stole from Yumi Medical Research Laboratory. Father, what the fuck? From Yumi Medical Research? Yeah, what Psy'Min said. What the? Let me see that. Poison's been stolen. It's this morning's paper that Suzuki gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could the reporter have gleaned his information? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. Why are you doing that? I'd put Haori in charge of the project. Why are you doing that? She was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft. Why would she do that? And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. I'm not even interested in the courtroom, I just want to read the paper. Do you have the funnies? We need to read this article very carefully. Okay. Even my father, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got a check mark this time. Okay, the game is not going to be a dick like the other one. I can't imagine there's anything over here that's super important. Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Suzuki, isn't it? Oh, so those two were the ones that went to Britain, of course. Yeah, there's the close-up we had before. It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. He also becomes over-animated when he does literally anything, including wait for a bus. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck. Also, what's a bus? I forgot what year we're in. A rickshaw. I do hope you weren't hurt. Okay, nothing here. Alright, that updated. Oh, it didn't just update, it became a thing. Okay, that's just the same. What about you? I'm guessing if we take the cap off, we're going to find something. Because we always do. If we take off the pen's lid... Never mind. Literally never mind. There's nothing here to look at. Wait, I lied. Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall... What the hell? Why are we doing this? Oh, dicks. This must be the little reservoir that holds the... Okay, maybe this is like an old school fountain pen, but I'm not used to the reservoir being that shape. This seems like something you would sneak, well, poison out with. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. The nibbity nib. Is something wrong, Father? Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. Very nice, very informative. Not sure what it's got to do with Jack Diddley Squat right now. I can inspect that. Again, thank goodness for check marks this time. I really could have used those last game. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. The R stands for H, which stands for Haori. And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. To identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case. Alright. And this is a nothing that we can't inspect. Alright, let's get on with the pressing, because I'm still not entirely sure what we could be looking at here. Or what the contradiction is.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding.
Hold it!
You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you used due care and attention, it would be all right?
I wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but the blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage would occur. In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it.
Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. Isn't Haori a medic? Didn't you just explain it for me?
You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath. Just a figurative bloodbath.
Back to the witness testimony, please.
At least these are quick. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know.
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Here we go.
Which is?
Clearly, the defendant, Haori Marasume, does not possess an ounce of sense. Okay, that was not the direction I thought we were going, but okay.
What do you think about that, Professor Mikotoba?
I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. How about labeling her as a medic?
I don't know. Young people today, if that's friendship, I don't understand it.
Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. Okay, I take it back. That recoiled on me rather badly. That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn.
Hopefully you can see now that this really is basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Murasame would certainly have been aware of it.
And she would have been a medic, not lacking in common sense.
In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. What?
But the defendant has suddenly encountered someone she knew lying on the ground, bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. Boy, all these cross-examinations have been completely worthless, haven't they?
I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally.
Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? I'm going to play the privilege card.
Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women.
I beg your pardon?
Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views.
Okay, perhaps I'm getting a little bit too much into my part.
Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim.
Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Murasame's nature to do something so awful.
But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against.
But you don't know the defendant.
And you, Counsel, do not appear to know the law.
Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings.
With this fledgling defender, I would almost say I pity the accused.
So do I. Oh, I was going to say, are we getting new text added? But no, the fifth comment really is just a reiteration.
Yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Murasame. She was like the anime protagonist and the anime antagonist. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Watson, not Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor.
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Watson, not Wilson, recognized Murasame's talents and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. He wasn't an asshole like you. She was extremely grateful to him.
Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very brilliant broad-minded individual.
Dr. Watson had no time for outdated traditions. I mean, have you met his daughter? He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Murasame's abilities.
Clearly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point.
This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack. Okay. Zip through this. I am a little bit surprised. I figured pressing might bring something up, but we actually have to object to something here, and I'm actually not sure off the top of my head what it should be. The first one was blindingly obvious. This one, not so much. But we did examine the court evidence, and we got some new stuff. So let's see. This got updated. And this. So we're saying... What is it we're trying to explain? Maybe I forget exactly what the judge said. Is like, you need to be able to establish this, blah, blah, blah. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge. Actually, hang on a second. Is there a nature of this poison? It took place, a deadly poison stolen, blah, blah, blah. Either smoked in the body, in the mouth, or via a wound from a poisonous blade would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university have to be consulted. Okay, that seems relevant. Either via the mouth or via the wound. Giselle has learned her lesson from the first case. Onset of symptoms occur in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. So toxin. Okay, well... Okay, we're going to press that. I mean, present that somewhere. The question is where. Oh, I skipped a thingy. Heavy bleeding, that's basic knowledge. There's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. I think this is where we would show the newspaper, because it wouldn't be the pen. She wasn't stabbed with the pen, so I don't think that comes into play yet. Let's try this. Okay, yeah, that's it. I mean, that's the only thing it really could have been. No, there is one possibility. I was reading the newspaper for a good hour there. Seriously, though, the funnies are great today. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound.
What?
Huh. The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. Apparently they have a great sense of humor, though. Tell us, Dan, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yumi University. What? The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case.
But... Prosecutor Ouchie, you will let the defense speak.
But a newspaper article. The court can't rely on the kind of hearsay those rapid publications carry.
Counsel for the defense. Very based, by the way. I'm going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency.
Yes, of course. Thank you. What a bow. Hiyori would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... Well, it was page 2. Like, this was the title of the page. That's probably what they're asking for. Because it was page 2 where it said it. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes.
Are you suggesting?
If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Murasame, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is... 360 no-scope. It was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. I get my own theme music, yeah!
This is complete and utter nonsense.
Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility.
Watch me. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. That's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking...
Oh, please, this is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind.
I'm sorry, what?
Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway.
I'm assuming we're going to draw attention to the fact that, like we said, the meiosis that's reported in the autopsy report.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the article, or the argument, makes no sense.
Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it, yokel?
Stop calling me that. Why did Haori suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds.
What? Did I order coffee?
You can't possibly.
From your expression, counsel, it would appear that those are not empty words.
Well, we'll see.
But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system whatsoever. The court demands evidence.
I've seen how much conjecture goes on here. That's BS. I've seen it many times. So much conjecture. From my place at his side in the Old Bailey. Oh my God, the bluffing. I could tell you stories.
In that case, counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article? I'm assuming it's the post-mortem report. We can't say autopsy report because that's not what it is.
I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please, do tell me. Presumably, the fact that the condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death.
No need to be sarcastic.
Under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes.
What are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely.
Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt.
What?
See, she does know what she's doing. Professor Ouchie, I think you'll agree this is very compelling evidence.
Well, what if I don't agree, huh? How about that? You, yokel student, yokel professor. Everyone here is a yokel except me.
I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions.
No, I was so close to an easy win.
Eugen Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in the newspaper, please. I don't need to get on the stand, do I? It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Huh. Listen to the bumbling academic. Maybe he was a yokel, maybe I was right. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper.
I gotta admit, Dad, that looks bad.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision.
Father. A pitiful situation for a university professor.
I wonder how much of this is an act. We still don't know a whole lot about Mikotoba, and I'm wondering how much is going to come out in the rest of the game. I'm suspicious of everyone right now. You're all the mastermind. Except Ouchie, because you're just pathetic. If Ouchie does end up being the mastermind, that would be freaking amazing. Just imagine that.
You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
Ouch! That hurt, actually. That's totally unfounded. Is this Haori? Yep.
Oh, I'm getting so worked up right now. None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Haori.
Murasame, you stand accused here. Outbursts like that will not be tolerated. You know women aren't allowed in here. Get the hell out.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. Again, really bad decision. It was the day that the professor and Susuke were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. Also, somehow I've developed a lisp. So I've decided to try to get back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was.
The
thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty Englishwoman. That bitch.
Miss Giselle Brett?
No, bitch. That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. Haori, you should really stop talking now. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. Really need to quit talking now, Haori. I know it was you who stole the poison.
I don't remember her voice at all.
Well now, whatever do you mean?
It was kind of Celeste Ludenbergish.
And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor.
Nani?
That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips while I'd been with her.
See, this is the information we should have gone out of our way to ask for 30 minutes ago.
Which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes. If the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you confessed in the end.
Oh, thank you, Your Excellency. If I cried, would that help? It's barely perceivable, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom now.
And that's time for Ouchie to open his mouth.
Your Excellency, do not be deceived. The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, isn't that convenient? If that's the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed.
Well,
You had no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim, motivated by revenge.
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Oh, I have evidence, and it is very much conclusive.
What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ouchie. Next time, get it all out of the way.
Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student.
What?
I'd imagine there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself.
Dun dun dun. Well then, guilty. What the? Could a more dabbing shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable. But very satisfying considering the first trial of the last game.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment the Murasame plunged her dagger into the victim's back.
No, that's not true. No. I don't believe it. Ah, God, that hurts my back. Why do I keep doing that?
Order, order, order! Order! Whatever the other judge says. Counsel for the defense, was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
And perhaps his voice is yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature.
I'll show you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely congent, extremely important photographic print as evidence. Extremely good, goodish, gooder. More gooder than past evidence.
I can't believe he had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time.
I mean, they are big sleeves.
It's such a stark image, I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photo?
It's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention.
Oh,
Objection!
You're a woman. Be quiet.
that's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
Yeah.
I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once.
About that. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of this print is unknown.
Goodness. Are we to understand, then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court?
Well, it is a photo. It's not like we have Photoshop yet nowadays, you know?
When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokeling student and blabbering professor. I'm upgrading you to blabbering. You're not a yokel anymore, but I still hate you. What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. No Photoshop.
But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but...
The moment it was withdrawn? Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene it captures is without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no!
Susato, this is the time for you to fight. So says my pom-pom. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Hiyori withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Taketsuchi Ouchi in a court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel, okay, now, I know what the answer to this is, and it's fairly apparent if you've been paying attention. Your Excellency, the burning question is who took that photograph, and the truth is, I mean, I do and I don't. Because here's the photo, and I wish I could examine this crack, because it turns out it's the same crack. Well, that's interesting. I still have the check mark. It's the same crack as in this photo. Do I have... These are my only options. God, you look ridiculous. I mean, I do and I don't. There's an argument for either of these answers. I'm not sure which one would be correct. At least the stream still looks smooth. Whatever was killing me last week. Maybe just restarting the game after OBS? I don't know. I'm gonna... You know what? If I don't know is the wrong answer, it'll probably redirect me to the right answer. If I say I have the answer and I don't technically, it may ask me for a profile I don't have. So let's roll with I don't know for the moment. No. If I give up now... Okay, that was the wrong answer. I'll never be able to look Hiyori in the eye again. Suzuto, you need to steel yourself and summon your best argument. I'll do my best. I still like how the text just keeps saying Ryutaro. This isn't about whether I can or come up with the answer now. I simply have to. Okay. So I picked the wrong answer, but it's okay, which is what I figured would happen. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But as you so boldly claim that you can, please do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name. Yeah, exactly.
How utterly underwhelming.
Do you really believe you could... Shut up. However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity.
What? What?
Very well, counsel. Present your proof to the court. Which piece of evidence do you claim reveals something about the identity of the mysterious photographer? So we know it's not that photo, because it's up in, there. Do I need to... Oh, that just does that. Return to the question. Do I get to examine this? Oh, no. It keeps not being checked, which makes me wonder, but I'm going to go ahead and assume this is in the state it needs to be in to present it.
Take that! I said in a very manly voice.
What is that, the newspaper again? Raucous England returnees tell all.
Hear that, Father? You're raucous. It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. It's the photograph.
That's the picture I was looking for.
If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes, indeed. They had already caught my eye as it happens.
Yeah, what of it? A shadow of some kind, perhaps? From the branches of a tree or the like?
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you. I'm not that incompetent.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph...
Dun dun dun! Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph, too. Well, that tells us nothing.
Are you stupid?
Huh, yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely. From the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Counsel. Cough, yokel, cough. What's quite remarkable about it is that these two patterns are almost identical. How could such an extraordinary similarity have transpired? The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of... boop, boop, boop. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes, we can confidently say that the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device. In short, the two photographs under consideration here, 360 no-scope? Nope. Were taken with the same camera. Notice I haven't once slapped the desk like a wet fish.
But, there must be hundreds of such cameras here in the capital. It will be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article.
A newspaper?
That's right. There's my 360 no-scope. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime.
What?
I was about to say Hosunaga and Suzuki have just magically disappeared. But nope, there's Suzuki. I see why you were called a raucous England returnee.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
I'm powering up. It's Momi, I tell you.
Many Mimo! Me, ni, me, mo!
Suzuki, why are you jojoing? Did you say Momi? Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Haita Mamamomi. Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk, the paparazzi. Now that he mentions it. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. Okay, I guess he's not hiring him to do that. He's just being there, annoying him. Could that same reporter be? A camera to the left of him, a notebook to the right of him. There I am, stuck in the middle with you, Hitai Mamamomi. So you're saying that this picture was taken by someone else but the initials HM? Yes. Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. He shouldn't be more than 5 feet away from Suzuki. Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
I'm an airplane. Meh. This is my meh pose. It's the sound an airplane makes. Meh.
All right. I'm tempted to barrel through it. I really wish I knew how many continues were in this. Because there's still a fair bit to go. I mean, I'm okay to keep going, but I also don't know how long the next part is. Hang on a second. I'm going to be super professional and take a break from the stream while I check my schedule to see what kind of time I got. That's not the side I want to be on. Oh yeah, that Starscream is coming in. I gotta. My browser opened up on my tracking page for that Transformer I've got coming in. Okay, Friday is looking good for finishing this, which is the usual day for this. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have lots of time to finish this on Friday, regardless of how much time is left. So we'll go ahead and call it good for now. That'll be part one. Part one of the first trial of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Resolve. And I'm really looking forward again. We're almost done with the first trial, and then I am in very blind territory and very excited about what's going to happen next. Tune in next time and enjoy those. Again, aside from the hypnosis videos, this seems to be the more popular thing I'm doing, which is good because it's half the channel. But keep an eye out for that. Like, comment, subscribe. Watch out for when the stream is coming up. I do have another hypnosis video coming up this week. I know that the last one never got actually uploaded because I was too busy, so I'm going to upload that, and I may upload the next one even early or do a double this week. We'll see. But keep an eye out, hang out, come on by. We had no chatters this week, or this stream, but you know what? That's fine. And come by next time, say hi, and I hope you have a great week. Take care, and goodbye for now.